that you can't give town property to an elected official, as have many individuals in town pointing out possible conflicts of interest. The commissioner said it's surplus property. According to the Florida state statutes, if surplus property is worth over $5,000, then it has to go out for bid to the highest bidder.
And we have to verify that. I think there's some other rules between county and municipalities, and Chris would know the answer to that. Any attorney could answer, it's just a general question.
Okay. The agreement states that this agreement and the transfer of the property to White was approved and ratified by the Town Commission by vote on 7 December of 2021. And all city commissioners are signing this agreement and approving its terms and conditions. However, on March 24th, when the agreement was signed, there was no meeting. I still wonder and question how the three commissioners, Scott Levesque, and you, Mr. and Mrs. Swain, how that was signed properly, since it was not brought before the town, and also why was Mr. Young not a signing agent, because he was a commissioner, as well as Harry Broadhead was also a commissioner. We had 5 commissioners at that time. So the exhibits A and B on the contract were not included. Section B states the liens and encompasses placed on the property while in White's ownership are still his responsibility. Like I said before, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that you can't sell property with liens on it. And there is $302,802.43 in liens and fines on this property right now. And yet, the previous commission prior to me is trying to give this away for $10. And yet the town of Inglis, when we foreclosed upon the property in December of 2020, we had to pay $100 for it even. So,
okay, I'm going to stop because we're talking about something that's not the subject. We're asking about
the contract is the subject.
We're talking about a request for the extension to complete the work.
These are all reasons why we should not extend the contract, in my opinion, of 2021, a year before anybody else signed it. And then brought before the Town Commission on 14 September of 21, almost exactly 6 months later, after he signed the initial contract. And the agreement itself was signed by the 3 commissioners that were here on 24 March 22. The 90 days is up. I did drive by there on the morning of June 23rd, and the fence was not up. The vehicles and the debris and everything else was still on that property. And the gates were open and they were working on the property. As finance officer, I do think this item needs to be addressed. I wanted it addressed before the 90 days was up, but we didn't do that. I feel that we cannot afford to give this away.
Okay, I'm going to add. Okay, I think we have to talk about some of the things if we're going back in history.
Misuse of taxpayers' money.
Okay, so first of all, I think we need to move forward and not backward. The property was conveyed to the town of Inglis when I was a commissioner, along with many other commissioners, none of them that are sitting here. It happened in December of 2020. I was never told, the town was never told, the residents were never told that that property came back to the town. It was never mentioned in any commission meetings prior or after, in the minutes or at the town meeting, that we now owned this piece of property. I live by it. I watch the kids walk from Macedon to Hudson. There's friends and they go back and forth. The town owned the property. I did not know. There was no fence. There was no gate. There were drug addicts and vagrants on that property as our children walked by, and sometimes were coaxed inside. I watched this happen. I did not know that the town owned the property. Went in to look at insurance, okay? So we took over this property, and now the town is liable for anything that happens on our insurance policy at that property. However, pollution coverage is not something that we're protected against. So my budget for building, maintenance, and roads is barely $10,000, $12,000 a year. We could not afford to clean up that property as a town. It would take a long, long time, and grants would take years to do a grant. We had somebody that offered to clean the property. And if you go back in history and you know the real reason why that property was taken, then I believe that the right person is doing the right thing, and we are moving forward. And that's all I have to say.
Can I speak?